Train the muscles, not the joints. So welcome back to Natural Gallant Bodybuilding, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about how to get a big chest. Now, some of you guys are like, oh wow, Jason, what are you doing? What are you talking about that for? You know, because your chest is smaller compared to, you know, some guy they know or whatever, somewhere on the internet or something, but whatever, man, I'm not perfect. The thing is, before I dislocated my shoulder in hockey, my chest was actually a decent muscle group. It never lost me a competition. I won a lot of competitions. And that aside, if you take away injury history and everything like that, I do know how to train a chest. So bearing that in mind, somebody just asked me the other day, can you build a big chest just by doing incline type movements? Just by doing upper chest? Now, of course, you know, the argument for this is that this guy said that nobody has ever had too big of an upper chest. Most people, that's always the weak link. The upper chest is usually the weak link. I've seen one or two guys in my life where their upper chest was just devastatingly huge. Like it was like freakishly huge. Like you knew that they were just somehow genetically blessed with an upper chest. Like the real big bulbous type muscles that aren't supposed to exist on a human being were just like slapped on top of their clavicle or something. So some people do have an uncanny massive ability to have a big upper chest. So I will say, true, in the most circumstances, most people never have too big of an upper chest, but I have seen one or two cases where the upper chest is just absolutely totally freaky. So, you know, bear that in mind. So the question is, can you build a chest just by doing upper chest type movements? I think it's possible depending on your genetics. It always depends. It always depends on your situation, depends on your genetics, depends on what are the limiting factors in your training. Some guys, when they're doing flat benches, they just get injured repetitively. You know, training the lower pecs just causes shoulder problems for them, or maybe decline movements cause a lot of problems. So in their instance, I would say upper pec type work mainly would probably be the main focus of their training, just because doing anything to do with the lower pecs or the decline or flat type movements causes irritation in their joints, right? So if you keep on getting injured from a movement, obviously you won't be able to train, and eventually if you injure yourself enough, you won't be able to train the upper pec either, right? You can injure your shoulders doing something in one exercise and then not be able to do any exercise with the shoulders, even the ones that didn't bother your shoulder before. So just from reasoning, yeah, in some cases, some people just have to stick to inclines for a period of time until they can kind of heal up the issue that's going on with their shoulder or their pec or whatever's going on, right? But ideally in bodybuilding, you want to hit the muscle from as many different angles as you can. And the reason for this is that you are accessing different fibers that you can stimulate to grow. It's obvious that when you're doing a decline movement or a flat movement or an incline movement, there will be different fibers that are hit, different muscles that are stretched, different muscles that are contracted, and different parts of the body that are stimulated. That's why we have different exercises, right? So an angle can be really looked at as a different exercise in some way. You are hitting different parts of the muscle. Can you just build a chest from upper chest type exercise? Would it be good to concentrate on that if you were a bodybuilder, if you wanted to compete and you had a lagging upper chest problem and you notice that your lower chest is just way more overpowering, or your delts are way more overpowering? Maybe upper chest is a thing for you to concentrate on. Maybe you should, you know, do an experiment. Just train upper chest for a period of time and see if you bring up your overall chest development. Because I do have a suspicion that certain angles are going to be the sweet spot for some people as opposed to others. One person might get more results on a certain type of incline than another person. That's why some guys are always arguing. They're like, oh yeah, I got to do a reverse grip, super high incline. That's the best way to get upper chest. Maybe for them it is, but for somebody else, depending on their proportions, depending on how they're built, maybe they need to go with more of a pronated grip, not a supinated grip. Maybe they need to be pronated. Maybe they need to be at 30-degree angle or 25-degree angle rather than a 45 or 90-degree angle, right? You know, I'm just exaggerating here, but you get what I'm saying. Depending on how you're built will depend on what really gives you results. And I think you'd be doing yourself a serious injustice if you didn't experiment and find out for yourself what angles are right for you, rather than just kind of going with a template. Start with a template, like I always say, experiment, and then start to tweak the template from there. Now, why do I not just do inclines for my chest development? Because you think, oh, why not? Why wouldn't I do it? Why wouldn't I do just inclines? Well, I do like the flat bench. I do like the way it feels. Now, for chest development, maybe there could be an argument that inclines would give me better chest development than doing flat. And there can also be an argument that maybe dips would give me better chest development than flat, but I just like doing flat. So sometimes it's a matter of having certain benchmarks, no pun intended, but almost like benchmarks in your strength and benchmarks in your endurance and what you could do at one point in your life. And then you're trying to basically hit that benchmark to kind of know exactly where your overall strength is going in the body, how your diet is, if you're achieving what you've done before, you know, that kind of thing. So bench press was a main part of my training for a long time. So I find that keeping that in my training gives me an idea, okay, where is my upper body strength in this area and how does it compare to before? Despite my different situation, of course, right? Because having the slap tear in the shoulder and stuff changes my bench press. But at the same time, I kind of get an idea of where I am and where that, I just get confirmation that I'm not dead yet. Okay, good. Bottom line though, doing just inclines could be an idea, and it might be something that I might do actually in the next month or two. I might actually decide just to do purely incline type movements. And that's it, and stay away from the flat as much. Maybe just do a little bit of it here and there, but mostly incline movements just to see if I can stimulate the upper pecs and get a little bit more chest development there, right? It's really so fun when you think about it. It's so fun because you can kind of experiment. When you're not looking at what everybody else thinks, you're actually free to experiment and see what is it that really causes your body to grow in certain areas. And it becomes like a sculpture. You're finding out what is the right tool to sculpture different pieces of your physique. And for one person, the upper chest will be the 30-degree incline. Another person, it might be the 50-degree reverse grip incline. You know, it might be something different for them. But once you start to find out what stimulates the body and keeps it from getting injured, of course, because some people, they're sculpting the physique. They're not necessarily thinking about whether it's the efficient way to sculpt the physique rather than just tear it down, right? Because if you can only do an exercise 1 or 2 times before you have a career-ending injury, what's the point, right? So in the end, you want to think about longevity, and you also want to think about stimulation. So stimulate as many muscles as you can, hit the different angles, and if you want just to experiment, it isn't a bad idea to take all the variables out of the equation. So say just train one exercise for a period of a month when it comes down to one body part and see, do you get results from that exercise and what type of results do you get? And this is a great way to conduct an experiment on your own. I do have a tendency to include more flat bench and you know, and dips lately as well, just because I do like the stimulation I get. It just totally feels different. It's almost like I'm feeling totally different muscles are working from the different exercises, even though technically they're all chest exercises, right? So yeah, experiment. Feel free to experiment. But anyway, I hope this helps you out with the training. Thanks a lot for watching, and if you need to get hold of me, just go to naturalbodybuilding.com and take care for now. And oh yeah, thanks to the Patreon supporters. And you too, Garrison, even though you're outgrowing the shirts now. Hey? Garrison said he outgrew his Gallantians of the Galaxy shirt, so now he's got to buy a bigger one because he's getting good gains. So way to go, Garrison. Good job. I haven't outgrown my shirts yet, so you're doing better than I am. Mountain.